Hello and welcome back to another video. So glad to have you here. Thank you for being here. We are going to speak about a very, very touchy subject, and this is about repressing your feelings. And as we always say on this channel, or as I always say, you can't know what you don't know. So if you don't know the feelings that you're repressing, then you can't do anything about it. And the first step to transmutation is awareness. And until you can have some awareness about what's going on, you can't change your vibration. You can't change your circumstance if you aren't aware of what's going on. I really cast the line out far there off the bat, but I really love this subject. It's very near and dear to my heart, and it's something that I really honor, because when we are in a mode of repressing our feelings, we sometimes think that, well, the next best way is to just, blurt them all out or just dump them all out. And that's one of the three costs that we're going to talk about. So right now, what I'm going to give you in this video is just the costs of repressing your feelings. I'm gonna give you a personal story of mine. And then at the end of that, we'll just give you the possibility of what it's like when you don't repress your feelings. And the first thing I wanna say off the bat is that you're most likely watching this video because you might be in a tight spot. And you might be in a place where you feel you can't express your feelings. And when we feel we can't express our feelings, many times we feel that we don't have access to our own identity. We don't have access to who we truly are. We don't have access to our creative expression. And I think, and then sometimes we engage in other things that will hopefully unlock that for us, which could be substances, which could be, it could be maladaptive practices, or just something that isn't really a healthy means of expressing ourselves. So we go to something else with the hopes that it'll fix it. When it comes down to it, when you're being your authentic self, you're not repressing anything, but you're also not overextending anything either. And I really, again, I hold this dearly because a lot of these videos, I think of a lot of the lessons that I wanted when I was going through my transformation of finding out the fact that I'm a highly sensitive person. And that my feelings are, it's like the banner in the YouTube channel, just big feelings. And like many times I felt alone in that, because I was like, oh man, why is nobody else? And I remember one time I was going through this breakup, and I just felt like I was hyper intaking like these emotions, and I was just hypersensitive, and I just was like, oh my God, I can't handle all this. And it was like, the alarm was like, beep, 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 emergency. And so I remember I was with my mom, we were watching the movie In Bruges at this big theater, and I was watching it, and I was trying to hold it together. And I was just like, and like tears just start, escaping my eyes. And my mom was like, you all right? And I was like, why am I like this? I didn't yell because we were in a theater, but I just, my mom, of all the people in my life, my mother has understood highly sensitive people more than anybody I've ever met outside of my counselor in high school. But the first thing, let's just get to what repressing emotions looks like. It can look like you saying yes to everything because you want to people please. You don't want to create what you perceive as ill emotion to people. So you're repressing your authentic answer. You're repressing your truth in this situation, how you really feel. So you're saying yes to everything. What it also looks like is you assimilating to the room because you don't want to rock the boat yet again. See where we're going with this? Repressing your emotions can also feel like when you leave a certain situation and you're like, damn, I should have said that. Man, I should have said that. And instead of just not saying it, instead of saying it or bringing it up some other time, or maybe writing a letter, you just hold on to it. And you just, it grows. It's like a carbonated drink. It keeps shaking up, and and that's one of the costs. We'll get to that in a second. And it looks like a litany of different ways, and it may look entirely different to you than I've just explained. And that's the whole point. As long as you know it's happening, that's the point. If you have awareness of the emotions that you're repressing, great. First step, That's great. Great first step. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're moving in the right direction. So if you're aware that you're repressing emotions, awesome, cool. The thing that you want to get to at the end of this is what does your life look like? Not repressing these emotions. And I'll state this a little better. I think I can word that better. What does your life look like when you're living in your authentic self? When you're not just saying something or laughing at a joke just to appease the room? When you're not holding on for dear life because, oh my God, I want to get out of this conversation, but I'm going to sit here and just agree with everything. When somebody asks you, hey, can you meet up at 4? Somebody asks you, hey, can you meet up at 4:30? And somebody asks, hey, can you meet up at 4:45? And you say yes to every single person. When you have somebody who says something really off or offensive to you or that hurts your feelings and you don't say anything about it, what does that lead to? What does that lead to? So those are some of the scenarios where what it looks like to repress your emotions. And it can even be something more stratospheric. I want to say stratospheric because that's a little bit dismissive. It can be global. It can be global politics. You feel a certain way about something and you just haven't said anything. You know, like there are many things that people have wanted to speak out about but have not because they feel, well, it's just going to rock the boat. They feel the costs are too high. So here are some of the costs of repressing your emotions, and I'll explain each one of them. We'll go down 3 of them right away. The cost of repressing your emotions. The first one is a buildup that leads to a breakdown. The second one is a lack of identity, aka self-editing, which we talk a lot about on this channel. And the last part is poor physical health, and I'll explain one of those in my story. But the first one is a buildup that leads to a breakdown. And we talk about this all the time when we say, man, that guy really lost his mind. It just went from 0 to 100. We don't know what people are bringing into a room when they step into a room. So the point is that somebody could have entered a room at 97. And then next thing you know, it just took one little beep, 100. Now they're snapping on somebody. I heard this great thing. If somebody ever has a response that is above a 5, it's not about the thing that just happened. It's about something else going on in their life. And that's, for me, in my experience, that has always reigned true. And it's because something's being repressed or something's going on and it's not being dealt with. That's okay. That's okay. That happens. And we're not here to say that repressing your emotions is bad. These are just the costs of it. I'm going to do my best with you to not get into meritocratic language. I'm going to do my best. I might jump into it from time to time, but it is what it is. But if somebody has a reaction and they just like go through the roof, all of a sudden, well, what was that? What happened? It was most likely because they've been repressing something and they haven't spoken about it. They haven't approached that person. They haven't addressed it. They haven't taken it head on. They haven't really put words to it. And our bodies take the toll. It keeps the score. And so do our minds. Like we have a litany of neural pathways that at some point are going to, it's going to light up at some point. And I remember this, a friend of mine's mother had passed away. And she always wore this certain perfume. And I had not seen this woman probably in 3 years. And then all of a sudden I go into the bank and that scent comes from somewhere. And I'm like, oh my God, is she here? Well, of course she's not. She's passed on. But it lit up a memory right away. And it wasn't because I was repressing anything, but we can be reminded or have flashbacks of things that are going on just by the world reminding us of it. And so when you repress something, undoubtedly, it will present itself in some way. And it may not be the most convenient time in your life. It may not be the healthiest response. And it most definitely will probably be painful for you. And what we're trying to do here is to get you to get to know yourself. And once you know that, great. Now you have some tools you can work with. We're human. It's not like, yes, I learned what repressing my emotions looks like, and I'll never do it again. It's going to happen in some form as long as you know that it's happening. So one of the costs is it building up and you breaking down. And the second one that we brought up was a lack of identity in editing. And I think this is extremely important because I have experienced this many times, but it happens in a way that's so funky. This part, when you start repressing emotions, you begin to develop this identity that's now repressed these emotions. So now you're a different person outside of you being your authentic self. You have to take on this identity of being someone who said yes to the thing that you didn't want to say yes to. Ha ha ha, laughed at the joke that you really didn't want to laugh at, and you wanted to be like, whoa, what do you mean by that? So you're developing this identity that's going to put you in situations, and if we're going to talk about the universe here, this would be a great time to bring it in, is that whatever you are saying yes to and agreeing to in the universe is going to give you more of it. And so you're going to have to deal with more of that, whatever that is. Second, and that can be crippling to an artist. It can be crippling to anybody. But if you have no means of expressing yourself, or feel you have no means of expressing yourself, we're in some deep doo-doo. Because you want to be able to have a sense of identity, and when you're constantly editing your identity, then you get more of situations where you're going to feel you have to edit your identity. We will get into self-editing later on, but I just wanted to mark that for right now. And the third part is poor physical health. So I can speak to this right away and go into an experience of my own. I was being inauthentic for a litany of, I've used the word litany a lot in this video. I love it. I was being inauthentic and repressing emotions for upwards of 2 or 3 years, and it was in a very heavy situation. I began to lose hair in my beard. I just would have bald spots everywhere. And I looked that up, and I was like, what is that? What is that? And lo and behold, it's this thing called alopecia barbae. And it's where, you just get patches of your beard that end up going away. And the cause of it is stress. Your body will build up this stress, and it will start to manifest in physical ways. And once that starts happening, it is the tip of the iceberg. When you order something off the menu in a restaurant, that's the beginning. When you get your order in a restaurant, it's not because it just happened now. No, you chose the restaurant, you walked in, you looked at the menu, you ordered it, they made the meal, they brought it out to you. So when you have physical reactions to your repressed emotions, that is the tip, dog. There's so many things that go underneath it. You have to get at a lot of things that are going on underneath that. And that is when the work starts. That's when the work has to start. At least for me, it had to start, because I would go to sleep. I could feel my heartbeat in my ears, and I felt like I was gonna have a heart attack. And who knows what that was? But my body was, you could see it, I could feel it, I knew it, people that saw me knew it. I remember a friend pulling me aside and being like, hey, are you okay? Hadn't even said a word to her. She just saw my face, and I looked ill. And that's part of the exchange. That's part of the cost, man. And it's not pretty. I mean, can word that better. It's not healthy. It's not sustainable. So I want you to think about what your life would look like not repressing these emotions, or at least approaching them and finding out who you are without these repressed emotions. And to give you a very quick example of what happened for me is that with the alopecia barbae, that was part of the story. But then also me looking at myself as not an artist. And so I did that for a little bit while in college. I thought that I was going to, I had been told so many times, like, oh, theater's not gonna pay the bills. And I was like, okay. And I took that truth in, repressed, my truth. Was like, I am an actor. I'm an artist. This is what I do. I'm a creative. I like to get on stage and recite lines or write scripts, all this stuff. And when I repressed that, I ended up doing all these classes and things that I'm not. And I had no sense of identity. I was sitting in like Calc 4, and I was like, what the hell am I doing here? I got no business in a Calc 4 class. I think I passed it, which was, the best I could have done at that time. But I was taking on all of this stuff, and a lot of it was coming from, I believe it was the way that I interpreted, a lot of advice I had gotten from my father, and it was no fault of his own. He was just like, hey, maybe you want to take a math class to have a backup. And I was like, to him, that was just like, hey, I'm just trying to help you out. For me, it was like, yes, alter who I am. And so I did that, and it was what it was. However, all that being said, I ended up having to break out of that. And it was tough. It was not easy by any stretch of the imagination. And so I had to find out who I was without these math classes, without this backup, without this safety net, without this idea that, oh, I need to economically have several plan B, C, D, E, and F just to like be an artist. Like, what does it mean to be an artist without all of that? And nobody was going to tell me how to do that other than me, or show me how to do that other than me. And that journey of being you without these repressed emotions starts with you taking the first step on that. And I think that is super important. So when we talk about the possibility of your life, here's the rewards of not living a life with repressed emotions, or not repressing your emotions to the point that you self-edited yourself. It's that you get to have not only authentic connections with other people, you get to have one with yourself. You get to have it. And you know when you're BSing yourself more than anybody else. And perhaps you've been doing it so long that you know, there's a smaller and smaller part of you that understands what's going on, but it still knows it. It still knows it. I always knew it. Even when I was at like the peak of inauthenticity, I was like, you know, when I was sitting in that calc class, I was like, I remember just going in one time and I was like, I have no clue what the H is going on here. Like, and I had been in that class for like 2 months at that point. I was like, I am playing myself. DJ Khaled, congratulations, you played yourself, was just echoing like, you know, a game of Pong in my brain. And breaking out of that, I got to be the person that I know that I am. And I got to have the connections with other people that I know that I can have. And I got to look other people in the eye and say, no, I don't think this is going to work out. No, I won't be showing up to that. No, I actually can do that, but I don't want to. And it's been a blessing in film, because film, there's a lot of business going on. There's a lot of, you know, bidding. There's a lot of rates and whatnot. Like, this is at a third. And when you're authentic, you're like, oh no, I can't do that. I won't do that. I'm not going to do that for that price. No, I could say yes. Yeah, you could say yes to the thing for the very, very low rate, but you know who you are. And another byproduct of not repressing your feelings is, or at least being aware of it and taking inventory, is you value yourself. I had no self-value when I was repressing my emotions. I was wildly not a fan of me. Oh my goodness. We'll probably touch on this a lot in the other videos, but I could not, it was tough to look myself in the mirror. It was tough to tell people, you know, yeah, I'm an actor, or yes, I'm this or that. I just had no faith in what I was saying, and it overflowed to everything that was going on, and it felt awful. And so it really affects everything. When you repress your feelings in one field, it does overwhelmingly affect the entire body. And that's what happened. But to end this on a good note, when you start to take inventory of the things that you're repressing or editing or holding back, you get to find out the reasons why. And you get to know yourself a hell of a lot better than you did before. And you get to open up the door and the window, maybe even like you got like a stadium with a retractable roof, who knows? You're able to start letting in the things that you really want in your life. You really open up the possibility of non-resistance. Desire plus non-resistance equals desired outcome. So editing and repressing emotions is a discrete form of resistance against what you want in your life. So I hope that you're able to take the first step in beginning to be aware of what you're repressing. Take a look at it. Figure it out. You can figure it out. I know that you can, because I know that you feel it. And if you can't feel it or see it, I know that you're starting to probably noticing things, or the costs of not expressing yourself fully. So I wish you the best of luck on that. That's the end of our video. Leave any notes below for people. I know this is a tough thing to kind of like talk about, but leave any notes in the comments of the costs of repressing your feelings, or what you have gained from not repressing your feelings, from fully expressing yourself? We're curious to know, and it helps out other people too. And I hope that this video has helped you out in that journey to figure that out as well. All right, we'll see y'all later.